make mistakes, because if I make mistakes, we don't sleep. So I'm going to tell you how I make most of my mistakes is that I trust my eyes. So follow the directions, stare at the flashing dot, and you will see that some of those yellow dots disappear. They didn't go anywhere. Your brain is messing with you. Your brain is telling you they're there, but they're not there. Is it working for everybody? Yeah. Next slide. All right, I make art out of this stuff. It's called flagging tape. And this is my first one ever, and I learned so much from this installation. I went in with these strips of wood you see around all four corners of this piece, with the eye hooks perfectly placed, thinking I had done everything I could, ready to tie some knots. Except one side of the room is 3 feet shorter than the other side of the room, and the ceiling is 3 feet longer, and I had to redo all my pre-production, so now I measure everything. And then when I did this one, I had to draw a diagonal line 40 feet through space, but there were no laser levels, because they were like $800, and I'm a student, so I'm buying and returning things, and they wouldn't let me buy that and return it. So we had a string and 2 nails, and let me tell you, trying to draw a diagonal line with a string and 2 nails is like an effort of futility, and I'm surprised I had not blown my brains out. So we got a laser level shortly after that, because with my work, everything's got to be perfect, because I want the computer to look like it threw up all over the space, and the people were never actually involved in this at all. So as we move on, we get less and less time and more challenges thrown at us. So you're about to see a time-lapse installation of one of the most challenging and frustrating installations we've ever had. So the challenge in this was, well, we're just borrowing these shipping containers, so you can't drill any holes in here, so have at it. And I'm like, do you know what I do? And he's like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. So I have a lot of Gorilla Glue and other stuff in my hair at this point, because we had to glue all of this stuff to the surface, prop it up as he saw. And none of us got to see the piece at night, except that was when everybody was going to be there. So I'm like, how's it going to look? I don't know. I hope it looks good. And so we finished the piece, and we had to leave, because Homeland Security is like, you might be a terrorist. You have to get out of here. It's 2007. That was the thing. And there I am, and we came down and cut it down the very next day. But that was my working diagram. And this thing's like a spirograph. It's got no measurements or anything. So we learned a lot. Now we do all our stuff in Rhino, and this is what it looked like at night. If the lights were off, you'd see there's a lot more dimension. If you go on my website, you'll see better pictures. And but it was sunny at night. It was like a visual beacon from down. People were like, where's the show? Oh, shit, that must be it. So then we move into more complex spaces. So Peter Eisenman is a deconstructivist architect, and he did the Wexner Center for the Arts. And it looks like a piece of graph paper having sex with a castle, sorry. And so we had to get smart. We're like, how do we do this and figure out how to put everything everywhere, because we have like 1 week to pull this off, and that's impossible. So we draw in Rhino now, and Rhino allows us to give an idea of what we're going to do to our clients, which in turn makes them give us a little bit of money, and then we can create our vision, right? So you guys do this, you're designers. And then when we get to the point where it's real, it always makes your eyes pop out of your head. And you're like, and the most common comments to my work is, holy shit, what the fuck is that? So, and I just say it's Tron on acid, you know, no big deal. So we're just walking around this gallery, and this stuff's really planned out, but then there are areas like those pillars there that go floor to ceiling, or this area back here, where we get to be like real artists and be like, okay, I can breathe and like have lunch today. Like, what do you want to do? Like, you don't have to draw it in Rhino. So we get to like play around and make more. And then when I don't have my awesome 3D assistant, who's here in the audience over here, I work in Illustrator, because I'm like, I learned that in art school-ish, sort of. And then when I don't have my Illustrator, this is what it looks like. And everyone's like, oh my God, what does that mean? And I'm like, it doesn't matter, you don't need to know, just do what I tell you. And so you can tell I'm like 2/3, 1/3, you know, like 50, 10 over here, no big deal. And that becomes this. Or this at night. And the material's different day to night, you know, because it's translucent. It's like a trash bag. So, and then sometimes we make things like this. So, the whole point of these working diagrams that I'm showing you, P.S. these aren't on my website. These are for you guys. Like, is so that we don't have to think when we're on the job. Because if we have to stop and think, we're wasting time when we can't get things done. So we had 3 days to do this. And if you want to see one of my pieces in real life, the only one that's still up is at the Creative Artists Agency, 2000 Avenue of the Stars. As a bonus, you might run into like, I don't know, like the Rolling Stones running around or whatever. And you can see it for free. They won't let you take pictures, but be adamant. Like, she told me I could come see this, and they'll let you in. And also, as a bonus, the Annenberg Center for Photography will validate your parking, which is like ungodly, like $25. So run into the Annenberg, get your validation, check out their photo show, and then run across to CAA. And so this agent came in mistakenly on his day off over Labor Day weekend, so he's our model there. And then we worked for companies like, we worked with Deutsch and Safari Sundays and Leo Burnett. And this is a piece we did with Deutsch for Target for the People in Espanol Festival. So it's People magazine comes in Spanish, most of you know. And they did something in San Antonio, Texas, where everybody came in and checked out. They said, we want something like a Mexican blanket, but you need to make your own Mexican blanket. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do that. So we demystified the serape and came up with our own design. And because of the gaps between the ribbon, as you walk around it, it gives you the effect of weaving, of thread. And so there's everybody. And the benefit of doing, like, people are like, why do people hire you? Because when you make something like this and people enter a convention center hall, which is sprawling, they can't help it. They're like, what is that? And they like go toward it like they can't help themselves. And so we get more FaceTime clients and everything goes viral and it becomes like an experience. We also did stuff for the TED convention and their theme that year was full spectrum. So we just, it's Palm Springs too, so it's like super gay. And we did this like rainbow stuff at the top and also the president's suite. And we said like make your mark on TED. It's full spectrum, like do stuff. So we had people like this guy, like doing wacky shit but cool every day. And then the hotel would be like, that's a fire hazard. And they come through and like cut it all down at night. And we like can make more craziness during the day. And my name tag's like as big as my head. Because otherwise you get kicked out of TED. And they're really serious about security. And then we do stuff with like this bobble. They do that water bottle where the filter's like in the mouth. You put the tap water and you get the filter water out. So chapel. So they started. And then for the bigger pieces that we do, like my clients and museums and stuff, they want to know how we're going to use their labor and like what it's going to look like. So this is a rendering in Rhino, and then this is the written. So you can see there's like very little difference there. I mean, actually it's better in person. And what you're missing out of this, and what people miss, 99% of the people see my work online and they miss it, is like if you could just take your hands and go like this in front of your face without the remote control, you'll see there's a little bit of vertigo, like two parking gates kind of sliding against each other in space. These things are like a three-dimensional moire pattern, and they kind of make you dizzy and make your eyes kind of hurt. And people who were in the 60s and did a lot of drugs, like, oh my God, I don't know how to do drugs after work. And so this one's a piece we did with Leo Burnett for an inner-city art school in Chicago. And they wanted people to come into the cocktail tent and like see stuff and have a focal point, and then they were going to do a silent auction, and they moved them to the dining tent and do a live auction where you spend real bucks. So this is our 20-foot by 20-foot focal point, which looked like this in space. And then here's a detail of that. And then finally, you're allowed into the dining tent. So that's what we do. And they're little tiny versions. These are like the smallest things we've ever made. Because we realized that now that we've shown this work to like millions of people online, we kind of have a little fan club. And so we wanted to make things that were affordable for normal people. So like we're making things like cell phone cases, laptop sleeves, and smaller works of art. And so that's it. So my thesis is we can't make mistakes because we don't sleep anyway, because a lot of those projects happened overnight. So if we make a mistake, like I have a panic attack and everybody hates being near me. So, and we just don't get it done. So pre-production for us is how we don't make mistakes. And that was 54 slides.